Today, we're taking a deep dive into an innovation story that is really challenging a lot of global tech assumptions.
hmm
We're looking at the incredibly dynamic ecosystem that's emerging from Zambia.
That's right.
And we have this stack of sources that aren't just theoretical white papers. These are snapshots of actual victories, strategic, future-focused initiatives.
Exactly. And these sources are direct from the front lines. A lot of them are rooted in the work coming out of Bongo Hive, which is a major tech hub there.
Hmm.
We're looking beyond just, acknowledging potential.
Right.
We're focusing on how local leaders are actively steering the transformation, especially in these really disruptive areas like AI and industrial IoT.
Okay, so our mission here is pretty simple. We're going to distill the essential playbook of Zambian tech success, starting with a truly historic market listing.
Yeah.
We'll look at the concrete AI applications being built right now, and then, this is the part I find fascinating, reveal some genuinely surprising data about the country's young, highly ambitious workforce. Data that I think has huge implications for employers, frankly, everywhere.
It really does.
So let's start with that entrepreneurial milestone. It really feels like it defines a new level of market maturity. Dot Com Zambia. You called this truly historic. Why?
Because they became the first, and this is key, the first 100% Zambian-owned tech company to successfully list on the Lusaka Stock Exchange.
Right.
Specifically, the Lusaka alternative market.
Wow.
This isn't just a win. It's proof of concept for the whole local market structure. It shows there's a viable, localized path from startup to public company without having to rely solely on, external international markets.
That is massive. But let's be the necessary skeptic for a minute. Listing locally sets a precedent, sure, but does the LuSE actually offer the kind of liquidity and capital needed for a company like this to scale aggressively? Or is it more of a symbolic move?
That's the critical question, isn't it? And the founder and CEO, Mwano Kambu, he shared what he called the inside playbook, and it addresses exactly that.
Okay.
His lessons were very candid. He emphasized surviving that early stage grind and navigating the specific funding ladder within the Zambian market. And that whole process, it forces a very disciplined growth.
I see.
So the listing itself, even on the alternative market, it acts as this stamp of credibility. It attracts later stage local institutional investment. It's all about demonstrating financial rigor and becoming IPO ready by local standards, which in turn de-risks the company for bigger investments down the line.
So the local listing is almost like a form of intense due diligence that builds confidence in the entire ecosystem.
That's a great way to put it.
And speaking of confidence, that victory links directly to this growing global recognition for Zambian innovation. We saw the appointment of Bongo Hive's innovation consultant lead, Doris Silwizia, as the new national expert for the World Summit Awards, the WSA.
Yes, and this is a huge strategic gain. The WSA is a global platform that honors digital solutions driving real social impact, things that align with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs.
So Doris's appointment means what exactly? There's now a dedicated channel.
It means there is now a dedicated high-level local mechanism actively looking for and nominating outstanding Zambian digital solutions.
Okay, so what practical leverage does that give local innovators? It sounds great on paper, but how does it change things on the ground?
It provides immediate global access. So when a local winner, like Dunia, they're a previous winner who tackles community challenges,
You're right.
when they get nominated and win through this platform, they don't just get a trophy. They gain visibility, international network access, mentorship, and potentially funding that would be, extremely difficult for a local startup to secure otherwise. It's a clear gateway.
A gateway to the global stage for tech that's focused on local social impact. That makes sense. That transition from market listings to global recognition, it perfectly sets the stage for the AI momentum we're seeing. Let's talk about the energy at that first ever Bongo Hive AI Lab show and tele-event in Lusaka.
The energy was apparently amazing. But what was really crucial about that session was its national reach. It was a hybrid session,
Ah, okay.
which proves that Zambia's AI movement isn't just confined to the capital. You had innovators joining online from every corner of the country. It just confirms this widespread appetite for advanced tech.
And what were they showing? I mean, when we talk about AI applications, the sources mention things like AI financial advisors and AI human demos. Let's unpack that. Are AI human demos what I think they are? Like digital avatars for customer service?
That's exactly right. They're realistic digital assistants designed to handle complex, repetitive customer interactions. And what makes this so critical in the Zambian context is that it's all about addressing access.
Access, how so?
Well, if traditional service channels are difficult or expensive to scale, AI humans provide instant, scalable, and low-cost customer support. It just expands access to services. And it's the same idea with the AI financial advisors. They're not just for high net worth individuals anymore.
Ah, I
They're
see.
being developed to provide personalized financial guidance in a market where formal banking can be hard to access. So they're helping people manage micro savings or small business loans. It's about solving local infrastructure deficits with new tech.
That makes the relevance immediately clear. It's using AI to leapfrog infrastructure challenges. Now let's shift to a heavier industry mining. This is where the strategy gets really sophisticated. We saw this upcoming Timbuktu Mine Tech webinar on AI and IoT titled From Pit to Port.
And this is where we see that jump from startup innovation to true enterprise-level digital strategy. The webinar is targeting executives, strategic decision makers, people dealing with incredibly complex implementation on remote sites.
So they're not talking about introductory concepts.
Not at all. They are tackling how senior leadership builds resilient data and AI programs and the real-world IoT use cases for enhancing worker safety and just, massive efficiency gains.
And crucially, they're addressing the challenge of execution right. How to implement these systems on remote African sites, which is a completely different logistical headache than doing it in a Silicon Valley office park. They're even looking at autonomous mining.
It shows global strategic thinking, but tailored to local logistical constraints. But of course, to staff those autonomous mines and manage all that data, you need a different kind of graduate.
Which brings us to the crucial link with academia and workforce development.
That's the connection.
The Innovation Spark analysis in our materials highlights this shift. Africa's universities are intentionally trying to transform from, say, passive learning centers into dynamic catalysts of innovation.
Exactly. They recognize that the talent pipeline needs to feed directly into this new, tech-heavy economy. Universities are now seen as possessing that vital pool of innovators needed to fuel the country's future. They've shifted their mandate to become launch pads, really.
Okay, that brings us perfectly to our third major theme, and honestly the most surprising data set. The challenge of making sure this workforce pipeline is actually fit for purpose. This was the core discussion at the Zambia 1000 Summit, with leaders like Malmo Mobila Kakoma asking the tough questions.
Indeed. The fundamental questions being asked were, does our current education system really prepare students for this new economy? What specific skills does the private sector urgently need? And how do we align ICT education with direct job creation?
And the sources, thanks to this collaboration between Bongo Hive and Top Floor Limited on the 2025 Youth Workforce Survey, gave us the answer. And it's a massive surprise. Tell us about the data on young professionals' priorities.
This is the data that should make every single hiring manager, everywhere, just pause. The survey revealed that 80.05%, over 80% of young professionals prioritize career development programs.
Career development, so training, mentorship.
Yes, all of that. They prioritize it over immediate pay. It shows a workforce that is overwhelmingly focused on the long game, on skill acquisition, on their future value.
Wait, 80% choosing growth over cash? That feels so counterintuitive, especially for emerging markets where you assume immediate financial stability is paramount. Why? Why are they so focused on the long game?
Because they're digitally native. They understand that the pace of change, we just talked about the AI and IoT, means their current skills have a really short shelf life. They see development as job security.
Ah, okay.
But here's the catch. This highly ambitious group is being severely stressed by organizational friction. The data is crystal clear. 64.75% cited toxic work culture,
Wow.
and 65.95% cited poor communication as major stressors in the workplace.
That is a huge disconnect. You have a motivated workforce desperate to learn and grow, but they're burning out because of organizational flaws, not because the work is too hard. This data becomes an urgent call to action for leaders, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It implies that just throwing more money at the problem, raising salaries, it isn't the solution. Leaders have to embed robust, non-monetary support mechanisms like mental health support and financial literacy guidance to make sure this high-potential workforce can actually thrive.
And the sources show the ecosystem is trying to fix this. They didn't just stop at diagnosing the problem.
Precisely. They're running two complementary surveys right now. One is the business owner survey to identify the specific skills missing in recent graduates. And the other is a professional survey asking experienced people what skills really mattered in their careers and what their education completely missed.
So they're trying to reshape the educational output based on real-world needs. Closing the loop.
closing the loop between academia and, autonomous mining.
So, to summarize what we've deep dived into, we started with the historic validation of the local market with Dot Com Zambia's IPO. Then we looked at the practical adoption of AI and IoT designed to solve real-world challenges. And finally, we have this nuanced, data-driven understanding of an ambitious yet culturally stressed youth workforce.
It paints a picture of a nation making these enormous technological strides, but now facing the internal challenge of organizational maturity. And we know the next frontier of growth is entirely reliant on this workforce that 80% figure overwhelmingly prioritizes career development.
That ambition is their competitive advantage.
It is. So the provocative thought I want to leave you with, especially if you're managing talent or designing strategy in any emerging market, is this. If the ambition is already there, and the biggest stressors are poor communication and toxic culture, what concrete, non-monetary shifts in leadership and organizational design must companies make immediately to capture and retain this talent? The future of their economy may depend less on the tech platforms they build and more on the kind of work environment they cultivate.
A compelling challenge to consider. Thank you for sharing these sources with us for this deep dive.